Hi everyone, welcome back to the Zen Curious Podcast. Today, Lauren and I are so excited to bring you an episode filled with wisdom, heart, and tools for healing. We are joined by the incredible Staci Farrah, dancer, somatic coach, and breathwork practitioner who shares her inspiring story of transforming life's challenges into pathways to peace. From navigating personal loss to creating a healing space for others at Midtown Movement Medicine, Staci has truly walked the path of self-discovery. In this episode, we'll dive into the power of movement, breath, and connection in healing, and uncover how we can all access the tools to find peace within ourselves. So let's get ready to be inspired and empowered. The journey begins now.
Hey everyone, welcome back. So excited to be with you to explore more modalities to help you find your pathways to inner peace. And today we are off-site from our usual location at Midtown Movement in Medicine. And I'm super excited because I have a feeling we're going to be exploring a little bit about somatic practices today, some neuropathway stuff, and also just like coming back home to our bodies. And so I'm super excited to be here with Kiera. And Kiera, you brought on a special guest for an invitation today.
Yes, so welcome Staci Farrah. We're so excited to have you here. I had the privilege of meeting Staci. My husband and I are members of Midtown Movement Medicine, and we do some breath work with Staci. We work out at the gym that she owns, and we also get to participate in a lot of the other cool recovery tools that they have around here. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to talk to Staci a little bit more about what they've built here, find out a little bit more about you, and how you came to be here today with all these amazing tools. So I think to start, Staci, why don't you share a little bit about how you got started down this path, some of the traditional things that you use to find peace, and maybe some of the not so traditional paths to peace that you've come across.
Okay, sure. Let's see. To take it all the way back, maybe, how did I set out to become who I am? Great question. It's a large question.
Tell us.
Yeah. Well, I guess I started out with an early childhood experience that was full of interesting pieces and parts, and maybe too much for me to hold in the very beginning. I also found that I had a pretty big sense in the beginning that there were things on the inside of me that needed on the outside. There were too many things that I was trying to keep on the inside, but as a child, I wasn't exactly sure how to get them out. And in fact, was I allowed to let them out? Is it really just me, and should I just keep it a little more inside, right? It was that deciding, where does this go? And I, luckily, from a really young age, was a mover and a dancer, and I loved to move my body. But there was something in me that was really, definitely creatively working through. I didn't know what I was up to at the time. But as I continued to move my body, I wound up into a long pathway of a dance career. It became my favorite thing to do. I also went to FSU as a dance major there, straight out of high school, and thank God I did at the time, because all the things that were kind of like living inside me, needing a way out, were stuck and so close to a degree that I had no sight of a future. Like, I didn't think, oh, I'm going to graduate and go do something in college or do something beyond this moment.
You couldn't see beyond this, what was happening right at that moment.
Yeah, it was just very a closed, scared experience. The only thing that felt good in me was to move. So I could dance. I had been dancing through my childhood, and then a friend of mine wanted to go audition for FSU dance, and I didn't really have plans beyond high school because I honestly didn't think I would make it, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Like, really was hoping that I didn't, I think, at the time.
Okay.
And so I wasn't dreaming of a path forward. And so it was just kind of happenstance that a friend that I had grown up dancing with was going to audition for the FSU dance department, and
you were
she asked if I would help her choreograph her thing, and I was like, absolutely, I would love to. I love doing that. I got so excited to help her. And then when I showed up to help her, she's like, just make one up for yourself too, an audition. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. She's like, just come with me, And so I agreed to go, and then just by accident got in, because I wasn't even intending to be there or intending to go to college or do anything more. But I think it absolutely saved my life at the time, because I didn't have other plans. As a matter of fact, my other plans were to not be around, So this was that one little window that opened early on. That was like, no, you can be you and take yourself forward into a world. Maybe it's still unknown and scary to some degree, but you have tools inside of you that, for whatever reason, have gotten you to the next stage. My body moves in a way that somebody said is good enough to be here and go on to a next stage of life. And so I just kind of showed up and started doing that.
That seemed, and it was very intuitive. It's like you knew you needed to move, and you just happened to be really good at it too.
Yeah, yes, it was a lifeline. It was a total lifeline, and I had really committed myself to it growing up, but didn't, like I said, there just wasn't any plans for what's next.
Right.
So once I decided that was what's next, I think, in hindsight too, because back when you're 18, 20, or anything before that, you don't know what you're doing. But when I look back, all of my movement and choreography and dancing at the time was moving that stuff, the bad feelings, the stories, the things that I had left unprocessed, that I had experienced, but I needed to tell its story, started just coming out of me. And in ways that I couldn't stop it, I would say. Like, I had to now choreograph. I had to now dance. Like, I had to start moving more and more and more.
So you got to a point where you maybe connected the dots and became aware that was how you were able to express, or that's how you were able to express what was inside of you?
Yes.
Okay.
It became like a language.
Okay.
So a way.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
All of the things, all the secrets I've been keeping, all the shadowy, darker parts of myself that I tried to hide and keep down, had a life, had a way out on stage. Or whether it was through my own physical body choreographing and dancing for myself, or through dancers who agreed to do, dance my work, dance my stories, tell my truths. And I feel really grateful to them. They didn't know what they were doing at the time either, but they were the expressive part of me that was trying to become expressed instead of suppressed. So I had a chance to continue to just move and dance. I realized the more movement I did, the better I felt. Dance isn't necessarily a super lucrative business, so I picked up some tools and trades along the way, right? Yeah, if I'm going to go make it in LA, I'm going to have a job, because if I happen to magically score a dance gig out here, I'm just going to be happy to be there. I'm not going to be like, what's my paycheck, please, So I did massage school and kind of went into a more natural, holistic healing realm there, of diving into what makes up the body physically, how we can physically move and manipulate and influence our own physical bodies for the sake of feeling better, for it functioning better. And I'm a real natural-born caretaker and caregiver, so it also gave me a way to kind of offer that care and ability to take care of others. But it was a job that I loved and enjoyed, like it felt purposeful and good in a way that I could give back, but also be able to survive, support myself.
Right.
So that's where the massage bit came in. So the body work kind of just developed from there. I picked up a couple more specialties like the Thai massage and more things where I could move people in ways that were non-traditional,
Right.
looked more and felt more like dance to me than a traditional just Swedish massage. Like now I can grab somebody's arm and pull them into a stretch, and now we're both stretching and creating these beautiful shapes, and I'm receiving and giving at the same time.
So creative.
It was just like wide open.
I was like, I'm curious, just like in regards to dance, what I heard you say is like it made me feel good, but like what did it open up for you? Right? Because a lot of times we go into excavate, and I heard you say early like that there was things that were inside of you that felt trapped, and now all of a sudden like you're moving, right? Which is a form of processing and like getting it out of your body. And as you create spaciousness, like what were you seeing as like new synchronicities or pathways or even healing through other people?
Great question. Let me sit with that for a second.
You triggered something that for me too, like I feel like the deeper I get into work, the more stuff that comes up. So like as you started to like have a way to express, was there any, I don't want to say like negative emotions, but like any stuff that came up that maybe you weren't ready to work with, or that like maybe made it, other things kind of come up and then maybe lead you to the next thing?
Yes. So all of that, yes, to answer your question, all of it came up. All of it started coming up and out, but I didn't have any way to know what to do with what was out now.
Right.
What I had kept held tight is now exposed, and now I need to do something with this out
So
here.
was it mess? Like did that look messy at first?
I think all of this is messy.
Yeah.
I honestly do. I think healing isn't for everybody if you're not into like big whole stinky messes, you know, like and it's a real clear choice, and you have to keep saying yes to the big stinky messes and brave enough to like put on the nose clip and just dig through the stuff, because it's not cute.
No.
It's not necessarily fun, I don't think. But the payoff is real, and it's huge. And like I said, I don't always see the payoff immediately, like right away. There's not always immediate benefit on the bigger picture, but if I can look back 5 years, even a couple years, I can go, oh yeah, she's growing. Yeah, she's getting a little stronger. She's standing up a little more inside herself. The biggest turn from all of like my early years of kind of like that turmoil and inner not knowing and searching turned into having a baby.
That's one way
all
to
the
make space.
things, right? All the things I could be choosing and doing right now, for some reason, inside of my big, messy mud ball of life, and I was 25 at the time, for some reason it occurred to the universe, you know, like, there's something coming for you.
Yeah.
And it might not make sense to you, but your life is about to change. And I wouldn't send it to you if I didn't think you were ready and in need of this. So I kind of welcomed a pregnancy with my first child, Bird, who's 18 now, with a lot of enthusiasm, like, like something, right? Like the next something to take care of. I love to take care of stuff so long as it's not me, of course, right? and I could totally divert my healing process and all this trying to figure myself out and taking care of myself, boop, and I just go right into taking care of and developing another human. Well, I kind of like did an not great job with that starting out, but I was doing it. I had a short marriage to my first daughter's husband. And whenever that came to an end, she was only 1.5 years old. And we were living in Mexico Beach at the time, of all places, so which is this tiny little beach town. Great place to have a baby, though. Just like beach babes are really fun. You know? So when I had Bird, I think anything that I was trying to run from got a little closer, like a little more like must attend to now. Like you can't just shove this stuff away or tuck it aside or suppress it a little further down. Like, babe, it's what you think already came up, get ready, because there's another
wave.
Yeah, a reckoning about to happen. Like you're about to see yourself in a way you've never seen before. Your child is also about to shine all of you and your stuff directly back in your face. You know, and so once that started happening, it was a little bit like, don't love all of that, you know, and so looking for more healing at that point, I think. And luckily, crossed paths with my now husband, Jeff. He and our worlds kind of came together at that point of, I had this tiny baby. I had just started to turn towards like the next step forward, I guess, if we're kind of referring back to my first pivot of like, oh, there's a way forward here.
The next level of healing,
the next
kind of
level of life, like the next, like, oh, anything's possible. And his presence in my life really kind of like drew more of that out of me. Of like, stop believing all this bad shit about yourself, Stace. You know, like you're writing it in current time. The pen is in your hand. You know, it's up to you. You get to do it. You know, like this could be so cool. What do you want? Let's put the call out. You know, let's make the order. Let's go, babe. And so I got really excited and energized around like that new relationship, and soon we had children. Also, a couple years later, we started having more children. So now I have 2 more mirrors. And versions of my insides now on the outsides. And some of them have permission to be shown, but some of them I was like, I'm not so sure we want. I spent a lot of time trying to shove you down, or those parts that I had deemed unlovable or inappropriate. And so whenever I started to think, my kids are driving me crazy, or I really don't like that part of her, I was like, surprise! Oh, it's me, right? You know, surprise. And so they were really the inspiration to do more of the work. And so the work for me started with a lot of talk therapy. I mean, I've really been in talk therapy. I might be a lifer on therapy, talk therapy. And then Jeff and I were already big movers. He and I, we've always been physical. He and I also met in a jiu-jitsu season of life. So that was part of what might have been included with our gym. We were like, well, we'll have a little jiu-jitsu mat and stuff. Of course, that hasn't made it yet. But,
the possibilities are endless.
Right, yeah, totally. And so as he and I kind of did more physical type work together and like explored different physical things, we kind of landed upon, I guess Wim Hof was making a round, kind of getting popular, came across Wim Hof, and we're like, oh. And we found a guy pretty nearby in Jacksonville, a guy who had been a Wim Hof trainer, and came down and hosted him. We had the gym at that point. And he came down to host a Wim Hof workshop, and we thought, this is a cold plunging thing. That was all we thought we were up to. And we were just going to get in some cold water and tough it out and, you know, hopefully get a lot of benefits from it.
Right.
And it turned out that roughly 90% of that workshop is breath work. And then you just get in the cold at the end, and that's kind of neither here nor there. To me, it was like such a small piece of the whole. So we got accidentally exposed to breath work through that workshop. I didn't know, I mean, other than just being yoga certified and I don't know, you hear somebody say breath work and you think, yeah, I breathe in and out.
Right.
I work a lot of breath. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for a while, you know.
Yeah.
But whenever the guy who came to do Wim Hof, we realized, oh, you can actually like do something with your breath. You can actually unlock a whole internal pharmacy inside yourself of all these chemicals that actually make you feel really good. And I didn't take a pill to make this happen. I just breathed more air. You know, it was so simple.
Yeah, and so easily accessible.
Right. I mean, it's an infinite resource, right?
Yeah.
So long as we're here.
Yeah.
And for now, it's available to me anytime, anywhere I am. And it's up to me to pick it up and use this thing if I want to feel this kind of way. And so, boy, did we really get curious about that, because it blew my mind that you could feel sensationally that kind of way.
Yeah.
That you could not just feel good in your body. I realize that is kind of like watering down. What feeling good to me, I guess, is like it's a visceral, lived, felt experience of peace.
Yeah. It's like that bliss state.
Bliss.
Contentment and
aliveness.
Yeah, aliveness, vitality.
presence.
Yeah. Just, and
Not everything can be described in words, and I think that a lot of time the outcome with breath work is something that you really have. It's not
indescribable.
Yeah, it's indescribable. It's an experience that you have, that has to be felt and not necessarily that can be described.
absolutely, it is an experience. I mean, I could tell you about snow all day, but until you go actually feel snow, touch snow, eat the snow, there's no way you could fantasize yourself into a real reality of that.
Right.
You know, like, and so similarly with breath work, I'm still just so surprised at what we can do with that.
Yeah.
So once my brain was kind of cracked open there, with that exposure, we started looking into just other breath. Well, if this exists, what other ways can we breathe our way to bliss? And so we came across holotropic breathwork at that point, and it was just kind of random internet searching, and oh, here's a guy doing this in New Hampshire, we found, and we just made it a family trip. We're like, we're all going, we're going to make a trip to New Hampshire. We've never been. Sure, we'll just check it out. And it was an all-day workshop with Jeff did one day by himself, I did one day by myself, so that we could take care of kids alternately. And once we both experienced holotropic, it was also just another level of, oh my goodness, you guys, like this could really, this feels like a game changer to me. Like I don't think I could ever not know this again.
So you say like everybody's breathing, right? We all are breathing every day. For the folks that have no idea what breath work is, can you describe a little bit of the holotropic experience?
Yeah, sure. So which I think there's a lot of different varieties of breath work out there. Some are highly guided, structured, you know, I'm going to breathe in for 4 counts, out for 4 counts. I'm going to hold for 30 counts, you know. I mean, I can make it really diced up in a formula. And then there's holotropic, which is really a different paradigm altogether. It's meant to be self-guided. It's meant to be given kind of a general runway and direction, and then handing you the torch or the baton, in a sense of like, I have some general instruction and guidance, and then what do I do with it? What does my body want to do with it right now, today? You know, that could be different than any other day I showed up to do this particular experiment with myself. But on this day, like if somebody gives me some simple instruction of take an inhale and now exhale, do it again, and just eliminate any pause at the top or bottom. So you're just cycling that inhale and exhale through, kind of linking it through like an infinity loop. So there's no start and no stop. And now add a little more effort. Give it a little more effort. How much more effort do you want to apply? That's great. You're doing really good. Beautiful. Keep going, just like that. can you make it bigger? Do you want to make it bigger? And you're just moving the breath, and then instructions. That's the end of your instruction. Now you've got 3 hours to take that amount of instruction, and I'm giving kind of a loose version of it.
Sure.
But you take that, and then you decide, minute by minute, moment by moment, self with self, not guided by my partner who's going to sit here and make sure I'm okay while I go through this experience. And not a lot of like, yeah, keep going, you're doing it. So the coaching, the instruction, the guidance, the drive, the choice is all coming from self. What do I choose? And then how much can I allow for myself get out of my own way, in a sense of maybe I'm making that choice alone, to step aside, to get out of my own way of whatever this experiment and experience is and what might become, if I just pick up a few simple instructions and then have a lot of let go with that, and a lot of curiosity of, who knows what's going to happen here? How could I possibly know what is about to happen inside my body? What's on the inside that wants out? How much of my brain is going to get involved to try and negotiate and manage and control the situation? How many conversations happen between my head and my heart? You should really just let go and just be here and just breathe a little. Yeah, well, you should get it right and do it better than that, and you're not going to get it, and who do you think you are? And so it's a little bit of this as we live that happens all the time, every day, all day for me. Maybe this is, but like head and heart, at some point, the head kind of is allowed to be separate, be disengaged from more of an experience. So while holotropic can take us into very unordinary states of consciousness, you're there willingly, as opposed to if I were to take a psychedelic drug, I might have been really on board when we took the thing, and then an hour into this experience, I'm like, yo, this is going somewhere I did not intend to go. I want off the ride. Sorry, babe, you're here for the full.
Buckle up.
Yeah, that's right. So what I really also loved about the holotropic experience is that I could I could kind of lead myself just by applying effort and breath to these unordinary states of consciousness. And the more I stay with that pacing and rhythm and effort, I could either stay there or go potentially further. It's so hard to describe what that experience is, but a little further beyond whatever this human experience is. Or I could get to a place and decide, I'm good. I don't want to go further. And then I would just pull back on the effort of my breathing. If I got real curious and like, ooh, what's there? I want to know more. Then I would just keep going or stay with it or kind of lean into that edge a little bit of like, I'm breathing pretty hard right now. Do I want to keep doing this? Yes, I do. I'm curious. I want to know what happens if I continue to breathe at this pace. And now my hands are starting to pull into weird shapes. And why are they doing that? I do not know. And now my face is leaking in all areas. And, I'm having imagery of a particular experience, but from a new perspective, and I'm kind of pendulating between my current experience of that and my past experience of that, and then could I even stay inside of that state of consciousness long enough to make contact and to repair anything that was previously disrupted or disturbed. And then it comes up again in my now life, my today consciousness. Can I create a method, a a pathway between me and my past to kind of go back and give to whatever that experience was, what it needed or didn't receive at that time. And that might just be my own bravery, my own being there and showing up again and being willing to bring that into my reality and hold it with some spaciousness, compassion, and kindness without being like, there's that scary thing, boom, or like stop breathing and being like, oh, that's it, I'm done, like just kind of breathe and stay there and see, can I kind of massage my past self a bit and make my current self feel a little better inside because I could go back self to self, me to my previous version, a smaller version, past version of me, and just kind of be there with her and experience what she was experiencing, and either apply that loving touch or give her that holding and maybe hug that she needed. Or I can simply make a choice to just come on home now. Maybe I don't push so hard like I always do, because the idea isn't really to like cockfight our way to a victory of recovery. We're not going to get there. We've got to be safe enough inside of ourselves to be here now and hold whatever the experience is that we're holding now, as opposed to tucking it away or pushing it off or just numbing ourselves enough to be here without really being here. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. Thanks so much. It's like I could just kind of like white knuckle my way through this moment with you guys just to get it done, and oh my God. Or like, can I be here with the nerves and the insecurity and the magnificence of, you guys want me to be here? Like, with the also, I don't know if it's just like mutual admiration and respect with other women. Like, thank you for the honor that you would allow me to sit here with you, like, and I guess I'll just be me while I'm here, as messy and awkward and maybe a little insecure on the inside or a little scared still there. Like, I don't have to pretend that I'm not that. 100%. But like, they're my buddies on the couch as opposed to like being like, no, I don't know her. Like, I think just including all of me, as much of me as I can allow myself, including all the parts. I think is really what wraps up peace in a pocket for me. Like, where is my peace today? It's like, how much of me can I tolerate being in any given second, any given moment? How much of me can I bring to the table and tolerate how it feels just to be myself? And to be her in a way that is open enough and spacious enough that like all of my other little creepy little nuggets are welcome to be here too. Because if it weren't for the times when I thought I didn't want anything other than to not be here, let's say, I didn't want a path forward, it just found me. It just like an opportunity that was like, oh, well, I guess I could do this, I guess. And then that seems to be going well enough that another opportunity just opened a door, but it was never like a line of achieving. I'll get this and then I'll get that. It was really like how am I going to save myself from myself? I don't even know who I'm saving her from, but it was like, how am I going to be for her what she's needed? Because if I can't do that for herself, it's impossible for me to offer that to my girls. And so when I see 3 children who absolutely should have that.
Yeah.
Absolutely
and you
deserve
want that for
that.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Let me, allow me to not so much give it to you, but just demonstrate.
Model it. Yeah.
Like if I could just demonstrate what it looks like for a human to try.
Imperfectly.
So imperfectly,
Yeah.
you guys. Yeah. I mean, it's such a boring suggestion and just like absurdly inappropriate.
Right.
And I also get that desire. I don't even know if it's like perfection, like somebody else told me, but maybe just like for what I want for myself, like whatever that level of satisfaction and personal enjoyment and fulfillment, I think is more fulfillment, feels more in line with what I'm in pursuit of as opposed to this other.
Yeah. I love the way you describe that. We have no idea until you get into this kind of work how difficult it is to be yourself when other people are watching you. It is so hard to be yourself when other people are watching you.
It really is.
With the work or without the work, it's hard.
Yeah.
Right, true.
Yes.
It's with the awareness that we can
Awareness,
invite in all the parts of us.
Yeah.
Right? Which you so beautifully articulated with your friends on the couch. And just
It's so great.
choosing differently.
Yeah. Yeah, like we're all those parts of us are really wise advisors. They've got important stuff to tell us. And so if we kind of shut them up or push them out, we're really just missing out on the fullness of our own selves and lives and feedback system.
Yeah.
Like we've got these cool special ops teams built in, and they're like, hey, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, trust your gut.
They've got messages for us all the time if we're willing to listen.
Yeah. And it's a choice. It really is a choice to listen or to not, because yes, we could turn that volume down all day, and I think to some degree we do.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is it's a universal dial. So if we're trying to turn down the bitterness, the resentment, the anger, the sadness, the hurt, the fear, the pain, well, whoopsie daisy, you turn down all your joy, all your bliss, all your happy, all your enthusiasm, all the stuff that you would love to separate, and dial those babies up and crank the other ones down. Like, ladies, it's one big fat chunky dial.
Yeah.
And if we want to turn it up to feel more of the good stuff, the stuff we enjoy feeling, then you got to kind of make room for the other stuff that's going to get louder too. But what I also love about that is it's not a life sentence.
Right.
I think I spent so much time thinking I'm going to get stuck. If I feel that feeling, I will be consumed and annihilated by that feeling.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to work my way back up from ground up. I'm going to have to go back to square one. If I let myself get as sad as I need to be or mad as I need to be, that will totally eat me alive. It will destroy me, and I'm going back to square one. And then that's so terrifying, because you're like, I'm never getting anywhere.
Yeah.
But so far as like somatics are concerned, you really have to feel it. Gotta feel it
to process
feel it,
it,
right?
Yeah.
And I know that's a funny little saying, but like if you don't let yourself feel what's actually happening currently, well, anytime, let's say, then it has no ability to become expressed.
Yeah.
If I don't feel it, then I don't heal it. I don't move it out. If I just make the decision not to, then that's suppressing. So it's going somewhere else. It's getting tucked away and just waiting for its moment, waiting for its chance to come back out.
Because energy, emotion is energy in motion.
Yes.
And energy cannot be created or destroyed. It has to move through. And so if you don't do anything with that emotion, if you shove it, it's still there.
Sure, yeah.
You have to figure out ways to work through it, to move through it.
Yeah. one thing that we were talking about, and this is a little outside.
I love it.
If that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because like a lot of times people get caught up in the, if I'm feeling something now, are you saying I've got to express it now to heal it?
Mm-hmm.
That's ideal for your nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the less time in between the felt experience and the expression of felt experience, you know, great. I mean, tidy it all up if you can. But most of us aren't built that way because we've been trained to turn it off. That's inappropriate. Save it for later. Not here, not now. And while that can be a useful tool, right, we kind of down-regulate our nervous system and just kind of push it on down, calm down, take some deep breaths, smile, till we get to the car and I tell you how I really feel, you know, right?
Let out that scream.
Right, but the thing is that if you can pre-bus some of your suppressed stuff, so that I don't always react perfectly or as I would want to in any moment. None of us should be expected to.
Right.
I don't, no thanks.
Yeah.
I'd rather be human.
Right.
But whenever we make a choice to suppress something in a current moment, you can take all of those kind of like filed for later feelings, needing expression, and take them to the gym. Take them to work them out of your nervous system, move them through your body, work that energy, give that energy a pathway out of you, right?
Yeah.
And you can do all of that way before. That could be a daily practice that you do, so that in the moments when you're hoping to have the response that would feel nice,
right?
You're more likely to have capacity, and you're more likely to have that regulation available to you in those current moments if you've done some of this pre-busing work.
Practiced, yeah.
Yeah, so some of the practices like the breath work, like the movement, and movement can be so individually unique for anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, you can run, you can be a power lifter, you can be a mover and a shaker, belly dancer, you know, you can lay on, I could sit in this chair and just shake my hands. I might not be a dancer at all, but I just need to shake some energy out of my body. Maybe I need to pound my chest, right? Maybe I need to pound my legs, or like maybe stand up and do some bigger movement, or slam a pillow, or fling a towel against something. Some of those emotions, feelings that live inside of me that need to kind of find their way through. I give them physical movements to find their way out, and it has to suit what they're wanting to express. So if it's rage and anger, I'm not going to softly touch my own skin to help me with my rage and anger. That's not going to, soothe yourself down, sweet, sweet baby. No, not yet.
Yeah.
No, I'm angry, you know, and I can feel my insides like, no, wrong application. Like, it's time to riot, babe.
Yeah.
And so that's when I know I put my boxing gloves on and I hit a heavy bag for a couple minutes, or I pick up a heavy ball and I slam it on the ground some. I might only do it for a minute or two, but I gave that part of me that needed expression, that needed out, a way to be released and processed and kind of metabolized, so that I don't hold on to bits of it for later.
Or react impulsively in a moment where it's, you know, not appropriate, or, you know.
Yeah, because it's brewing is what you're saying, and not expressed. Yeah, and to your point earlier, like some of us want to turn the dial all the way down. And my personal experience, like, done that plenty of times, and now when the things are coming through, sometimes it's surprising to see, like, oh crap, that's there too, right? It's like it compounds, like some old things that want to be pulled out and through because you've got the space and capacity to feel them. Yeah,
it kind of reveals the next layer, what was hiding behind that. So once you get to the, I think I am angry. I'm really angry. And then you start doing angry movements or things. Maybe I'm going to tap into my anger a little, and it's like, okay, I feel better that way, but now I'm really sad. Oh my gosh. it wasn't anger really,
Yeah.
or maybe it was and. It was
Right.
both and.
Mhm.
And then the sadness really just led me to realizing, oh, I was really alone and isolated and lonely and scared. You know, it's
Yeah.
just like, oh yeah, and that's the process of walking yourself home, you know.
Yeah.
It's like being willing to feel one layer of it, and then the next layer reveals itself, and you're like, oh, okay, I got to pull up more chairs.
Yeah.
Okay, come on in, you
Yeah.
know. And what I think has been also liberating in the healing process for me, or in regards to feelings themselves, is somewhere along my somatic progression of learning and training, I came across the tidbit that emotions run a 90-second cycle in the body. I love this, you guys. Oh, you mean I'm not going to get swept away and
never to return from my sadness
That's
or my
right,
anger or
yeah, right. So I guess circling back to that,
Yeah.
always feeling like I was going to get swept away and to never return. But like if you could just hang on to it for a second, 90 seconds, you know, like it's just 90 seconds of non-dodging, of non-trying to fix it, of non-trying to change it, not trying to manage it or shove it aside or redirect it, just
Being with it.
feeling all of it. Yeah, being with it. And I feel like I've run that experiment enough for myself to know, like, oh shit, I think they're right.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's real truth in this. Just allow yourself to feel it. And I don't mean like feel it for days and months and ruminate and stay. I mean like that brief little 90-second window. If you could just start there
Yeah.
as a beginning practice of how do I feel a feeling and how long do I have to feel that thing for? Let's try 90 seconds of the next whatever that comes up for you.
Yeah, I love that.
Including joy, right? Because we bump that thing out of the
Sure.
queue as soon as it shows up too. It's not just the fear and sadness and
Yeah.
anger, the things that we're like, no, don't want to feel that. Like we also forget to hold that 90-second space of real presence for holding my good stuff, the stuff I do want to savor and linger, and let's just be here a little longer. Well, you got 90 seconds to really live it up, my friend.
Yeah.
You better go all in
Enjoy.
and seize it while
Enjoy.
it's here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I try to remind myself that a
Yeah.
lot, because feelings can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Stress can run high. Demands are big. Life is real.
Yeah.
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 Amazing. Well, what's something that you'd want listeners to walk away with? You were to give them one tip as they're starting their pathway to peace.
Ooh, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself, and remember that you're it. You are it. What you are seeking is seeking you. You don't have to go out and get it. It's in you. It's in you. And just remembering or finding a way or tools or people who help us remember that little piece. Like you're it. For all of it. All of this is for you. It feels really nice to me. And if I try to share some of that when I teach or whenever I meet with people individually. But like I said, it's almost like it's not me handing my light to somebody else and lighting their candle. They very willingly have to reach their candle out to yours to receive the light and light. You know, I mean, like there has to be that internal mechanism and action of your own of like, I don't want to know how you think I can save myself or how you might save me. Like, just remind me that I can do it for me.
Yeah.
Like, I've got me. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And that's where peace lives, right?
Yeah.
Peace isn't some mysterious, magical place outside of me that I have to wander my way through life and hopefully someday I'll find in the woods or the caves of...
When I have this, then I will have that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I'll be happy when syndrome is a real downer, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're just never gonna overcome that one.
Right.
Unless you just realize what a fake and phony it is, you know? Whoever sold us that bag of lies.
Yeah.
So, for me, it is a constant climb. I never feel like, yes, healed, you know. I was like, it is a daily climb, right? I know. I'll see you ladies at the top. But
Yeah.
But so daily climbing for me looks like movement every day. Looks like breath work 5 out of the 7 days a week. It looks like sauna and cold plunging. It looks like meditation every day. It looks like showing up in a community that people who like to hide themselves or have a hard time like being in community and like showing themselves and allowing themselves to connect is also a really healing part of my growth and process of like just show up and be you, and then like let people take it or leave it, and then you can maybe not be so scared to be yourself.
The right people find you. Your people find you.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. So the more I let my weird out, I find like really cool other weirdness that my weird links up with, and then you know, it gets super fun from there.
So if people want to find you to work with you, whether that be maybe in some of the somatic stuff you do or breath work, how can they find you?
I do private coaching here at Midtown, and I either do one-on-one. My sessions are 90 minutes, and it's just a somatic session, which involves some variety of the body work, the breath work, the meditation, and movement. So movement for me specifically will sometimes be me moving your body in a particular way. Say if we're trying to work with a particular need in a body, a need to express a particular feeling, well, if I'm raging a little bit, then I might be doing this type of stuff on somebody's body to help with that, or like swaying their body big for them. Whereas if we're trying to, because that needs to come up and out before we apply a layer of soothe and calm, right? We can't just put the Band-Aid on the gaping wound. We've got to attend to the wound. And then, right? I think I lost my train of thought.
Just like
your session was 90
minutes. Sessions are 90 minutes. That's right. Thanks. And so it's always some combination of the breath work, body work, movement, and meditation. So I love being able to deliver a meditation practice to people because it's such this. It seems like, well, yeah, I've tried that. It doesn't work for me. It's not my thing. I'm not good at it. It doesn't work. By the way, my brain's still going off. And so I like to kind of deconstruct the old paradigm of what we think meditation is supposed to be and deliver it in a way that is digestible and feels like, I could do this. I'm not going to be a failure at it. And I can do it in a way that reminds, even the practice of itself is a remembering self, turning back to self. Every time I sit down to meditate with a mantra is how I do meditation. So if you sit down with a sound that you think, not chant, and the real basic instruction here is to just think the sound as much as you can remember to do so. You're going to have a bazillion thoughts because that's what our brains are designed to do. So let that thinker do its job. It's going to come in with a bunch of things. And every time you become aware that you're thinking something other than your mantra, you just gently turn back toward the mantra. And by that I mean, every time I get distracted, fixing, solving, managing, rescuing my problems, somebody else's problems, the world, and then I remember, oh no, it's about you. Take care of you first. Come back home first. Put the mask on you first. Then I can keep remembering, come back home, come back home. Every time I forget, it's natural, so I'm not going to be like, what's wrong with you?
Did it wrong
Forgot
again,
right? It's just continuously reminding myself, as soon as I forget, I remember again. And then I remember and I'm home. That's just a few simple steps, you know. And so meditation, while it's not a practice to clear our mind, it is a practice to help me create the ability to be where I am fully, wholly, completely, and to continue to choose myself.
I love that.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing and being vulnerable and inviting our new friends into our couch.
Yeah. We didn't know we were going to meet
of
the
us
whole
here,
family.
right? Yep, I would bring my busload everywhere.
I love it.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys allowing me to sit here and talk with you.
I love it. Thank you for sharing.
Brave, beautiful souls you are. I know this kind of work is to be seen and to be heard and to have a place in the world. And to create a resource for people to turn towards and share like your own vulnerable sides of who you are and where you've come from and why we would be sitting here talking about any of this.
Yeah.
I just really admire you both. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of it.
Thank you so much for being a part of it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining us today for this powerful conversation with Staci Farrah. Her insights into movement, breathwork, and self-discovery remind us that healing is an ongoing journey, and we all have the tools within us to find peace. If you love this episode, be sure to share it with someone who could use a little inspiration today, and don't forget to follow us on social media for more updates, tools, and conversations to guide you on your own path to peace. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and remember, peace starts within. We'll see you next week.